The orbital station's docking bay was silent, except for the hiss of equalizing pressure. Commander Jack Reeves stood at attention, his dress uniform feeling foreign after 5 years in combat armor. The war was over. Humanity had lost. Commander Reeves stepped forward. He moved mechanically toward the raised platform where Admiral Chen stood beside her. Empress Kelthra of the Varosian Empire. The woman who had commanded the fleets that had shattered Earth's colonies. The strategist who had outmaneuvered humanity's finest generals. She was smaller than he'd imagined, barely reaching his shoulder, with luminescent silver skin and those unsettling violet eyes that seemed to see through armor and flesh alike. As per the terms of the surrender treaty, Admiral Chen's voice was tight. Selected human officers will serve as military liaisons to Varosian Command. Commander Reeves, you are hereby assigned to Empress Kelthra's personal staff. Jack's jaw clenched. Personal staff. A polite term for hostage. The Empress studied him with an expression he couldn't read. When she spoke, her voice was softer than expected, carrying a melodic accent. Commander Reeves, your record speaks of remarkable tactical innovation. The Battle of Proxima IV was elegant. We still lost. The words came out harder than he intended. You did. She tilted her head slightly. But you made us bleed for every kilometer. I lost my cousin in that battle. He commanded the third assault wave. Jack met her gaze. I lost 3,000 soldiers. Something flickered in those violet eyes. Acknowledgement, perhaps. Or calculation. You will accompany me to the flagship Sovereign's Grace, she said. Gather your effects. We depart in 1 hour. As she turned to leave, her guards fell into formation around her. Jack noticed how they watched her, not just with discipline, but with something else. Devotion, maybe. Or fear. Admiral Chen waited until they were alone. Jack, I know what you're thinking. But we need eyes inside their command structure. Real eyes, not politicians. You're asking me to be a spy. I'm asking you to survive. And maybe, if you're smart, learn something. The Admiral's expression softened. She requested you, specifically. Out of all our officers. That means something. It means she wants to humiliate us. Maybe, or maybe, she wants to understand us. Chen placed a hand on his shoulder. 5 years of war, Jack. 5 years of her studying our tactics, our culture, our broadcasts. She probably knows more about you than you think. That thought disturbed him more than the assignment itself. The Sovereign's Grace was a cathedral of metal and light. Jack's quarters were surprisingly spacious, not a cell, but not comfortable either. Everything was slightly wrong. The angles too sharp, the gravity a fraction too light, the air carrying scents he couldn't identify. A chime announced a visitor. He opened the door to find not guards, but the Empress herself, alone. May I enter? He stepped aside, too surprised to refuse. She moved to the viewport, gazing out at the stars. Without her entourage, she seemed younger, almost fragile. I wanted to speak with you privately. Without the performance? The Empress must be strong. Unyielding. Perfect. She glanced at him. But I am not always those things. Especially not now. Why am I here? Jack asked bluntly. The real reason. Kelthra was silent for a long moment. Because I am tired of being surrounded by those who tell me what I want to hear. Because in 5 years of war, you were the only human commander who fought with honor, even in defeat. Because... She paused. Because I need to understand what we have done. What I have done. You won. Isn't that understanding enough? We won. Her voice carried a weight he hadn't expected, and lost more than you know. My people celebrate victory while I count the cost. She turned to face him fully. Your military ethics, your treatment of prisoners, your refusal to use biological weapons even when losing. These things puzzle my advisors. They call it weakness. And you? I call it something we have forgotten. She moved toward the door, then paused. You hate me. I accept that. But I hope in time, you might help me understand why humanity chose honor over survival. Perhaps then I can help my people remember what we have lost in becoming conquerors. After she left, Jack stood at the viewport for a long time, watching stars drift past. The Empress wasn't what he'd expected, and that made her far more dangerous than any enemy he'd faced on the battlefield. 3 weeks into his assignment, Jack still couldn't predict her. Mornings began with tactical briefings where Calethra dissected human battle strategies with surgical precision. She would pause mid-analysis to ask his opinion, genuinely listening when he corrected her assumptions. Her generals bristled at this, a conquered enemy advising their Empress, but she silenced them with a look. Commander Reeves suggests our assessment of human defensive psychology is incomplete, she said during one session, displaying footage from the siege of Titan Station. We assumed desperation would lead to surrender. Instead, it intensified resistance. Explain. Jack studied the tactical display. 6 months of hell compressed into glowing lines and casualty figures. You're looking at numbers. We saw faces. Every day we held was another day for the evacuation transports. 300,000 civilians made it out because we stayed. One of her generals, a scarred warrior named Thex, sneered, meaningless sacrifice. The station fell anyway. The people didn't. Jack met the general's eyes. That's the point you keep missing. We don't measure victory in territory held. We measure it in lives saved. Calethra's expression was unreadable. Continue your analysis, Commander. Afternoons were stranger. She insisted he accompany her on routine inspections, diplomatic meetings, even personal time in the observation gardens. At first he assumed she wanted to flaunt her prize hostage. But she didn't parade him. Instead, she talked about philosophy, art, the weight of command. My mother prepared me for rulership, she said one evening, surrounded by bioluminescent plants that hummed with faint music. But not for this, not for the loneliness of decisions that kill thousands. Is this why I'm here? So you can feel better about the war. She looked at him sharply. No, I will never feel better about it. But I need to understand what we fought. My people see humans as primitive aggressors. Yet you write poetry even in trenches. You create art even facing extinction. This contradiction fascinates me. We're not complicated. We just want to survive. Everyone wants to survive, Commander. But you want more. You want meaning in survival. Purpose. She touched one of the glowing plants, and it pulsed brighter. My people have forgotten this. We survive through conquest, through strength. We have forgotten to ask, why? Before Jack could respond, alarms shrieked through the ship. They reached the bridge at a run. Display screens showed a Varosian mining colony under attack. Raiders, unknown origin, hitting hard and fast. Third Fleet is 4 hours away, reported the tactical officer. Calethra's eyes narrowed. We are 1 hour away. Battle stations. Your Majesty, General Thex protested. The Sovereign's Grace is a command ship, not a... The colony has 12,000 civilians. We go. Now. As the crew scrambled, Jack found himself at a secondary tactical station. Calethra glanced at him. Your input would be appreciated, Commander. He pulled up the tactical display. The raiders were using hit-and-run tactics, staying mobile, avoiding direct confrontation. Familiar tactics. Human tactics. These ships are using our guerrilla strategies, he said. Modified, but the core approach is ours. Calethra leaned closer, studying the patterns. Can you counter it? Can I? You want me to help you fight people using human tactics? I want you to help me save 12,000 Varosians who will die if we fail. Her voice was steel. Your oath was to protect the innocent. Does the species matter? Jack's hands moved across the tactical display before he fully decided. They're expecting you to chase. Don't. Use the asteroid field here as a choke point. Force them to commit or retreat. Thex, implement Commander Reeves, strategy. The general's face was a mask of barely controlled rage, but he obeyed. The battle was brief and brutal. The raiders, caught between the asteroid field and the Sovereign's Grace's superior firepower, broke and ran. 3 enemy ships destroyed, minimal casualties on either side. As the colony sent messages of gratitude, Kael'thra turned to Jack. You just helped save Varosian lives. How does that feel? Like a betrayal. He didn't look at her. And like the right thing to do. I hate that both are true. She placed a hand on his arm, the first time she touched him. That tension you feel, between hate and compassion? That is what I need you to teach me. My people have forgotten how to feel both at once. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. He kept seeing the casualty reports from the colony. Lives saved because he'd helped. Varosian lives. Enemy lives. Or were they enemies anymore? The question disturbed him more than any weapon. The assassination attempt came during a diplomatic reception on Varos Prime. Jack had been standing near the refreshment area, enduring stilted conversation with Varosian dignitaries who treated him like a curiosity. Kael'thra was across the room, speaking with ambassadors from the neutral zones, when he noticed the server. Wrong body language. Too focused. Moving with purpose, not servility. His combat instinct screamed. Jack moved without thinking, shoving through the crowd. The server's hand was already reaching into their uniform. He saw the glint of the neural disruptor, illegal, lethal, designed to look like a medical device. He hit the assassin low and hard, driving them into the marble floor. The disruptor clattered away. Guards converged instantly, but the damage was done. The reception erupted into chaos. Kael'thra appeared beside him as guards hauled the would-be killer away. Are you injured? No. Jack stood, his dress uniform torn. But you almost were. Her expression was strange, shock mixed with something else he couldn't identify. You protected me. Why? Instinct. You hate me. I hate what you represent, but I took an oath to protect those under my charge. He met her violet eyes. Apparently my brain has decided that includes you now. She dismissed the remaining guards with a gesture. They were alone in the antechamber now, just the 2 of them, and the aftermath of violence. That was foolish, she said quietly. The disruptor would have killed you if you had taken the shot meant for me, probably. You did not hesitate. No. Kael'thra reached up and touched his face, a strange gesture in Varosian culture, he'd learned. Deeply personal. 5 years we fought. I killed your soldiers. You killed mine. We burned each other's worlds, and yet you threw yourself into danger for me without thought. How? Jack didn't have an answer that made sense. Maybe I'm tired of death. Even yours. My security detail will investigate the assassin. But, Jack. She'd never used his first name before. My political enemies are numerous. This won't be the last attempt. I cannot ask you to. You're not asking. I'm telling you. If there's a next time, I'll be there. Something in her expression cracked. For just a moment, he saw past the Empress to the woman beneath. Tired, afraid, desperately alone. Why? She whispered. After everything? Because someone has to break the cycle. Maybe that's us. The investigation revealed the assassin was part of a Varosian faction that opposed the peace treaty. They wanted war to continue, saw human integration as weakness. Kael'thra addressed her High Council, with Jack standing beside her. a deliberate statement that sent shockwaves through Varosian political circles. "You claim peace makes us weak," she said to the assembled lords and generals. "Yet it was not a Varosian who stopped the blade meant for my heart. It was the human you call our defeated enemy. What does that say about strength? About honor?" General Thex stood. "Your Majesty, with respect, one act of selfless courage from someone who had every reason to let me die." Caelthra's voice rang with authority. "Commander Reeves embodies the values we claim to champion, yet he was our enemy. What does that make us?" The council chamber fell silent. That evening, Caelthra summoned Jack to her private quarters. A breach of protocol that would fuel gossip, but she seemed beyond caring. She poured 2 glasses of something that glowed faintly blue. Varosian ceremonial wine. "We share it with those who have saved our lives. It creates a bond, a debt of honor. I don't want your debt. I know. That is why I offer it." She handed him a glass. "In our culture, this ceremony is sacred. It means I trust you with my life. Completely." Jack studied the glowing liquid. "If I drink this, what happens? We are bound. Not as Empress and prisoner. As equals who have chosen each other." She met his gaze. "I'm asking you, Jack Reeves, to be more than my liaison. Be my advisor. My friend. The word does not translate well. Shield companion, perhaps. One who stands beside me not from duty, but from choice. You're asking your enemy to be your protector. I am asking a man of honor to help me become worthy of her throne." Her hand trembled slightly, holding the glass. "I am alone, Jack. Surrounded by thousands, but alone. I need someone who will tell me truth instead of flattery. Someone who will stop me when I am wrong. Someone who sees the woman, not the crown." Jack thought about the last 5 years. The battles fought. The friends lost. The rage and grief that had sustained him through the war. And he thought about the woman standing before him, not a monster, but someone trying to find a better path. He raised his glass. "To breaking cycles." Her smile was radiant and heartbreaking at once. 2 breaking cycles. The wine tasted of starlight and sorrow. When their glasses touched, something shifted between them. Not romance, it was deeper than that. A recognition. 2 soldiers, 2 leaders, 2 souls tired of war finding unexpected alliance in each other. "Tomorrow we address the integration councils," Caelthra said. "Your people and mine learning to coexist. It will be difficult. Most worthwhile things are." She looked at him with those violet eyes, and he saw genuine hope there. "Perhaps there is a future where our peoples don't just coexist, but thrive together. Where the war becomes a distant memory." "Perhaps," Jack agreed. "But we'll have to fight for it. Differently than before, but fight nonetheless. Then it is fortunate I have a shield companion who knows how to fight." She placed her hand over his, a gesture of trust, of friendship, of something unnamed but real. "Thank you, Jack, for seeing past the enemy, for seeing me." As he left her quarters that night, Jack realized the war wasn't truly over. It had just transformed into something else. A different kind of battle, one fought with understanding instead of weapons, with bridges instead of walls. And somehow, impossibly, he was ready for it. The rebellion came 6 months later, and it came from within. General Thex had been gathering support among the military hardliners, Varosians, who saw the peace as betrayal, human integration as pollution. Jack had suspected, had warned Caelthra, but even she hadn't anticipated the scope. 30% of the fleet had joined the uprising. "They've seized the orbital platforms above Veros Prime," reported the tactical officer, voice shaking. "They're demanding your abdication, Your Majesty. They want a return to pure Varosian rule." Jack studied the tactical display. The rebels held the high ground, literally. They could bombard the planet if Kael'thra refused. Millions would die. They won't fire, Kael'thra said, but her voice lacked conviction. Thex wouldn't murder our own people. He murdered 3 peace ambassadors last week, Jack reminded her. He's already crossed that line. The communication channel crackled open. Thex's scarred face filled the screen. Empress Kael'thra. You have dishonored our people long enough. Surrender your throne, and we will spare the capital. Refuse, and we will cleanse the weakness you have allowed to fester. Weakness? Kael'thra stood straighter. You call peace weakness. I call kneeling to humans weakness. I call letting that creature, he gestured at Jack, stand beside our Empress a perversion of everything we are. Jack felt her hand find his beneath the tactical table. A brief squeeze. Fear and determination mixed. General Thex, you are relieved of duty. Surrender your ships and I have the ships, Empress. I have the firepower. What do you have? Ideals. The humans' protection. Thex's laugh was cruel. Send him up here. Let your pet human face Varosian justice. Perhaps then we can discuss terms. Every eye in the command center turned to Jack. Kael'thra's grip on his hand tightened. No, nay. It's the only play we have, Jack said quietly. If I go, he'll pull back the threat. It gives you time to rally loyal forces. He'll kill you. Probably. Jack managed a slight smile. But I've had a good run. And this way, fewer people die. I forbid it. You're my Empress, not my commander. I'm a volunteer, remember? He stood, gently extracting his hand from hers. Besides, isn't this what a shield companion does? Takes the blow meant for his partner. Her eyes were bright with unshed tears. You are not just my shield companion, Jack. You are my friend. My conscience. The mirror that shows me who I should be. I cannot lose you. You won't lose me. You'll remember me. Use that. Be the Empress who chose peace over pride. He turned to the tactical officer. Tell Thex I'll come aboard under flag of truce. One shuttle, unarmed. Jack, please. He looked at her one last time. You asked me once why humans choose honor over survival. This is why. Because some things matter more than living. You taught me that, actually. When you chose to question your own people's path, instead of blindly following it. The shuttle ride to the X's flagship felt longer than any battle Jack had fought. He had no weapons, no plan, just a strange sense of peace. If this was his ending, at least it meant something. Thex was waiting in the shuttle bay, surrounded by armed soldiers. The famous Commander Reeves. The human who seduced our Empress with soft words and weaker philosophies. I didn't seduce anyone. I just showed her there's another way. There's no other way. Thex grabbed him by the uniform. We are Varosians. We are conquerors. We do not bow to lesser species. Then why are you so afraid of peace? If you're truly superior, what threat does cooperation pose? The blow came fast, snapping Jack's head back. He tasted blood. You will be executed as an example, Thex snarled. Broadcast across all channels. Your Empress will watch you die knowing her weakness killed you. They dragged him to the bridge, forced him to his knees before the view screen. Below, Veros Prime glittered, billions of lives hanging in the balance. Thex activated the broadcast. People of the Varosian Empire witnessed the cost of betraying our... The screen split. Kael'thra's face appeared, and Jack's heart sank. She shouldn't have joined the broadcast. It gave Thex exactly what he wanted. But her expression stopped him. No fear. No desperation. Just absolute certainty. General Thex, she said, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of royal authority. You demand I prove my loyalty to our people? Very well. I will prove it by showing them what you truly are. Your Majesty, don't, Jack started, but she cut him off with a look. For months, my human advisor has taught me about honor, about choosing what's right over what's easy, about standing for principles even when it costs everything. She stood from her throne, and even through the screen, her presence was overwhelming. You want me to abandon him to save myself, to choose survival over integrity. But that is exactly what he taught me never to do. Then you're a fool, Thex said. Perhaps, but I am a fool who will not sacrifice those who trust me. Jack Reeves came to you under flag of truce. You have violated every code of honor our people claim to value. And you do it in my name? No. I reject this. I reject you. You reject nothing. Thex raised his weapon toward Jack's head. Watch your precious human die, and then we'll discuss your rejection. If you pull that trigger, Kael'thra said quietly, you prove everything he ever said about us. That we are brutal, primitive, unworthy of the civilization we claim to be. I don't care what a human thinks, but you should care what our people think. She gestured off-screen, and the broadcast split again. Hundreds of Erosian faces appeared, civilians, soldiers, leaders, all watching. They are watching, General, all of them, and they will see whether we are a people of honor or a people of murderers. Jack felt the weapon press against his skull. Thex was shaking with rage. Your Majesty, Jack said softly, it's okay. See, you tried. No? Ha. Her voice broke for the first time. No, it is not okay. You are my friend. You saved my life. You showed me a better way. And I will not let you die for teaching me hope. Tears were streaming down her face now. The Empress of the Verosian Empire, crying on broadcast for all her people to see. For a human. For a human. For a human. For him. I surrender, she said, not to General Thex, but to the truth Jack Reeves brought me. I surrender my pride, my prejudice, my belief that strength means never showing weakness. I surrender my armor and stand before you as I am, a leader who was wrong, who learned from her enemy, who became better because of him. The bridge was absolutely silent. If his life is the price of your rebellion, Kael'thra continued, then take mine instead. Broadcast it. Let the Empire watch their Empress die protecting a human. Perhaps that will finally show you what real strength looks like. What real honor demands. Your Majesty, no. Jack struggled against his guards. Don't you dare, but she was already moving toward a shuttle, already coming for him. Thex lowered his weapon, staring at the screen in disbelief. Around the bridge, Jack saw it, soldiers exchanging glances. Uncertainty replacing certainty. Doubt creeping into their revolutionary fervor. One of Thex's officers spoke. General, the civilian channels, they're exploding, the broadcasts. He pulled up the data feeds. Across the Empire, billions of Erosians were watching their Empress weep for a human, watching her offer her life for his. The social networks were flooding with reactions, and they weren't what Thex expected. Admiration, respect, support, she's willing to die for him, someone murmured. An Empress for a conquered enemy, that's not weakness, another voice said. That's honor. Jack finished quietly. That's what honor looks like. Thex's weapon clattered to the floor. The general sank to his knees, and Jack saw the moment the rebellion died, not in battle, but in the face of something more powerful than any weapon. Compassion. Sacrifice. Love that transcended species and history and hate. I don't understand, Thex whispered. How can you love them? They're humans. They're nothing. They are everything we forgot to be. Kael'thra's voice came through the speakers as her shuttle approached. And he reminded me of it. Not with weapons or conquest, but with simple, stubborn, infuriating honor. The docking bay doors opened. Caelfra stepped out, surrounded by guards but looking only at Jack. She crossed to him, ignoring Thex entirely, and helped him to his feet. "You came," Jack said stupidly. "Of course I came. You are my shield companion. Did you think I would let you face this alone? I was trying to save you. And I was trying to save you. It appears we are equally foolish." She touched his face where Thex had struck him. "But we are foolish together. And that makes all the difference." Around them, weapons lowered. The rebellion, robbed of its moral foundation, crumbled. Thex's officers moved to arrest their general, but Caelfra stopped them. "No. General Thex will stand trial, but not as a traitor. As someone who believed in his people's strength, even if he was wrong about what strength means." She looked at the defeated general. "You wanted me to prove my loyalty to our empire. I just did. By choosing the values that make us worthy of that empire. Values this human taught me." The aftermath took weeks to sort through. Thex and his core supporters faced justice. The peace initiative strengthened, bolstered by the image of an Empress willing to die for a human friend. Jack found Caelfra in the observation garden one evening, standing among the bioluminescent plants that had witnessed so many of their conversations. "The council wants to give you a medal," she said without turning. "The Star of Varus. Highest civilian honor. I'm not a Varosian civilian. No, Bimnu. You're something else entirely. Something we have no classification for." She finally looked at him, and her smile was sad and warm at once. "You're the enemy who became a friend. The conquered who taught the conqueror. The human who reminded us what we were supposed to be. I just did what felt right. That's what makes you extraordinary. In your position, most would have sought revenge. Instead, you sought understanding." She moved closer. "When I cried for you on that broadcast, I wasn't crying as an empress. I was crying as someone who finally understood what it means to care for another person more than victory or power or pride." "Caelfra, I don't know what we are, Jack. Friend seems too small a word. Shield companion is closer but still incomplete. Perhaps we are simply us. Two souls who found each other across a battlefield and chose to build something better than war." Jack took her hand. "I can work with us." They stood together in the garden, watching the stars, the same stars that had witnessed their war, now witnesses to something else. Not quite peace. Not yet. But hope. The kind of hope that survives even when everything suggests it shouldn't. "The integration councils want your input on the new human Varosian joint academies," Caelfra said after a while. "They think you should help design the curriculum, teaching young Varosians and humans to work together. That sounds like a disaster waiting to happen, probably. But you'll be there to help them through it. Just as you helped me." "I didn't help you. You helped yourself. I just was stubborn enough not to let you quit." She laughed, a sound he'd learned to treasure. "Yes. Infuriatingly stubborn. It's one of your more endearing qualities." They stayed in the garden until the ship's cycle shifted to night. Two former enemies, now bound by something stronger than victory or defeat. Not love, it was more complex than that. A friendship forged in fire, tempered by sacrifice, strengthened by choosing each other when every logical reason said not to. The war had ended 5 years ago with humanity's surrender. But the real surrender, the one that mattered, had happened on that rebel flagship. When an empress surrendered her pride. When a soldier surrendered his hate. When two species surrendered the idea that they had to be enemies. And in that surrender, they found something worth fighting for. Not territory or power or victory, just each other. and the fragile, precious possibility that sometimes the right kind of surrender is the bravest thing two people can do.